If you've been around the channel, you may know that I like stories that are strange, mysterious, weird. And today we're going to talk about a book that centers around a haunted film, or maybe a film from hell. We're not quite sure. And that book is The Star and the Strange Moon by Constance Sayers. And I picked this book up, and it said like on the thing, because I got it from the library, that it was like a sci-fi fantasy, but it's also horror. But I could see how it's also fantasy, but not much sci-fi really. So let's get into it. This book starts out and it follows this kid, Christopher, and his mom, Pamela. She's kind of a hot mess, just a wreck. She drinks, it seems like she pops pills, and she's kind of floats through life, and he takes care of her, and this kid's like 10. You know, they bounce from motel to motel. She's a singer, so sometimes she picks up gigs, and she might also sell herself on the side just to have some money and whatnot. So it seems like things are looking up. She found a new gig. They're gonna go stay at this hotel. She's gonna have like, I think it was for a month or two, and she'd be singing. And so this is good, except for Christopher's worried because now they have to go to a new hotel and he has to make friends with all the housekeepers and stuff because, you know, they would take pity on him and they'd give him like change here and there so he could get stuff from the vending machines to make sure he ate and whatnot, because the mom was, you know, the mom was a child and she had a 10-year-old basically taking care of her. So they get to this new place and they're walking down the hallway and there's all these old posters of like old movie stars and whatnot. And they get to this one of this woman. She's in a room and she's very beautiful and she's looking across the way. And this mom sees this poster and freaks the F out. She takes like red nail polish out of her thing and throws it at it. And then eventually she rips it off the wall and breaks it up and that and the other. And then he's like, "Mom, we have to go to the hotel room. We have to get out of here." And she's like flipping out. And so he gets her to the room. She goes comatose and like won't leave her bed for like 3 days. And eventually they bust down the door, get him out of there, and they take her away and they're like, "Hey, do you have any family? Do you have a dad?" This, that, and the other. He's like, "No dad, just my mom, but my Aunt Wanda." And he had her phone number, so they call. And then Aunt Wanda's husband comes and picks him up. And basically he goes to live with their family. They were charged his uncle. They're like, "Hey, you're gonna have to pay for damages for this poster and this, that, and the other." And then at the bottom it said that the poster was of this mysterious woman that she freaked out about. Was named Gemma Turner. And so for his whole life, Christopher wonders who this woman was and what was the connection to his mother that made the mother freak the F out. And then she ends up going away and they put her in an institution, and eventually she passes away after, I think it's like 3 or 4 years. And so he grows up with his aunt and uncle, and he has his 2 cousins. He starts to develop an affinity for filmmaking. So then we flip over to the story of Gemma Turner. And she was a star on the rise. She used to do all these surf films, but she wanted to like do more. She didn't want to be typecast. So she tried to do a couple other films and those kind of flopped and didn't go over so well. And so it seems like this is her last chance with this possible French film that she's gonna go do called The Strange Lune, The Strange Moon. Sorry if my French pronunciation is god-awful because I don't speak French. She goes to meet with this director, and she was born in France, so she speaks French fluently. And so she goes and she talks to this guy. His name's Thierry Valdon. He's known for making these like weird, strange films that they show at nighttime, and they're more on like the darker side and whatnot. And so she goes, she talks to him, they have a connection. It's gonna be a horror film about these vampires that at first it says they don't necessarily like drain your blood, but they drain the energy of the people or something along those lines. But eventually it kind of ends up turning to be more like traditional vampires. Anyway, so she goes, she gets the part, and then they go to live on this estate while they're filming it. She ends up disappearing when the filming is happening. Like 10 days into filming, she disappears, and it's caught on film. 1 minute she's there, and then in the next frame she's gone. And then so we come back to the present time. You kind of follow Christopher as he grows up, as he gets more into his film career, when he has this new girlfriend, Ivy. And Ivy, her dad, is like a famous film producer. And he, over the years, was kind of obsessed with Gemma Turner. And he followed her career. He's tried to find out all about like the film that she was making when she disappeared and all of that. You know, you go on the message boards and try and find other people. And because his girlfriend is so entrenched in like the film industry with her father, one day she's like, hey, I need you to sit down. You're gonna freak out. And she's like, I might possibly have a way to get a ticket to see the Strange Moon film. I'm just gonna call it the Strange Moon and not say it in French because I don't sound as dumb when I say that, as opposed to I might be pronouncing it really wrong. So he's like, oh my God. And then she's able to get a ticket for both of them. And they go to this and they see it and it's effed up. And apparently they only show this film every 10 years. And when they do, there's extra film time added on. There's more scenes. And people have all these series, like, because they all think that Gemma Turner died, but it seems like there's this exact duplicate of her in the film. And how is this even possible? Because people had seen the director's cut and none of this existed before. It's like this film is still going on. And every 10 years, something is added to it. Or the film changes and morphs. So there's all these crazy theories about it. There's this group, and it's only a certain group of people. There are 75 people that go and see this film every year. And the only way you can get a spot is if someone dies. And it all seems like these people may have some sort of connection to the actor. So it's the mystery of finding out what actually happened. Then you flash back and forth of her basically living inside this film. What happens and the monsters she has to defeat. Will the people in the current time ever be able to figure out what did actually happen to her and that she's trapped in this weird film, and will they be able to make the connections or not, and what happens? And it's such a crazy book. It's pretty big. It was almost 500 pages, but I loved it. I thought it was really great. It's so freaking weird. I loved all the elements of like the film, and it was kind of horror and so fantastical, but it worked really well. How eventually Charlie finds out what the connection is to his mom, which is, I think I kind of knew halfway through what the connection was, but it tells you in the end, and then he finds out who his dad was and all this stuff, and it kind of gives him some closure, because his whole life, like, it didn't feel like he was able to even live it, because he never understood why his mom just like lost her crap and then just never came back mentally from when she freaked out when she saw that Gemma Turner poster in that hotel, and what that connection was. So I love the writing, the characters were great, the story was great, it flowed really well, it was weird, held my attention, kept me up. Seriously, last night I was up till like 4. And it probably would have taken me 2 more hours to finish reading it. I really wanted to, but I had to make myself go to bed. It's like, Sid, you need to go to bed. Stop it. Because then you'll just sleep till like 3 in the afternoon if you stay up till 6 a.m. So I went to bed like a good person. If you like books that have haunted films and weird premises that are kind of like from the past and then the present, and then when those people and things intertwine and how all this weirdness works out, The Star and the Strange Moon by Constance Sayers might just be for you. Also, on the theme of haunted films, there's another really great book about like a weird effed up film that might be a spell, and that is the book Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Such a good book. That'll be the next video coming up if you want to check it out. And if you had fun hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.